You've been there since the beginning. Now, see how it all ends. June 1st, Temptation Tuesdays return. One last time.
Do you have any idea how close to death you are?
As close as you are.
It's the fatal final season, and the wicked will be punished.
Do you think Hannah is a weak woman?
No, she is also a formidable foe.
Tyler Perry's The Haves and the Have-Nots, the final season premiere event, Tuesday, June 1st, 8/7 Central.
Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today we have a real treat and a personal favorite, Mr. Tyler Lepley, the star of the very, very popular and long-running own hit TV show, The Have and the Have-Nots. We're going to kick things off today by introducing the panel that we have assembled, beginning with our facilitator, Katia Woods in Philadelphia, Ray Cornelius in Atlanta, Rhonda Rasha Penrice in Atlanta, Nancy Green in Los Angeles, and Dana Abercrombie in New York City. I'm going to kick it off to you guys, and I will see you on the other side.
Ray Cornelius here with Upfront Inside the Entertainment Industry. Tyler Lepley, congratulations on a hugely successful run with the Have and the Have-Nots. Was there from the very beginning and have totally enjoyed this wild ride. I want to know, and you know, we've all watched this show from the very beginning, but how have you enjoyed playing Benny? What has been the greatest thrill for you playing this particular character?
Well, first of all, good to see you, Ray. I appreciate you for having me on. I would say, man, you know, even just hearing you say that, I just get the whole flash of like 8 years. You know what I mean? I remember starting this thing out, and it was like, at the time, it was Tyler Perry's first drama series, and on the Oprah Winfrey Network, it was their first scripted series. So we didn't really know it was a bunch of firsts. So to be here 8 years later, man, from start to now the finish is just a blessing in itself. I would say the best part of the ride just has been making the relationships. But I would say what it's been like to play Benny. I think my favorite thing would have to be portraying someone that feels so deeply and cares so much for his family, and it was pushing him to do crazy things here and there. You got to see, he wasn't making the best decisions here and there, but regardless of what he was doing, there was always something behind it where he was riding for his family. And I think to be able to give that to, America and the world, to see a Black man really being there and supporting his family, it was just it was a special treat.
Absolutely, congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Hi, Tyler, Katia Woods Couple Social. One of the things that I like,
Katia.
that I like that you said about your character is, he's trying to rise above stereotypes. Talk a little bit about, because a lot of times when we show someone from a challenging background, it's immediately like he defaults and we don't give the character a chance to redeem themselves. Talk about what it's been like to play that story arc as far as Benny.
I think it would have been easy in some scenarios. And again, like I said, he was making some decisions that weren't the best. But more often than not, he was trying to do the right thing. I think when things get hard, there's plenty of shows where they do the wrong things and they do it for the right reason, and it's great to watch. But in this specific lane that I was playing with Benny over on the Have and the Have-Nots, it was nice to be able to, to fight the good fight. And even though sometimes he didn't see eye to eye with his mother, who's definitely not missing any days at church, he did listen to her when it was time to do the right thing overall, in an overall sense, I think.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Nancy Green with Film Critique. And
Hey,
my
Nancy.
question is, hi, I wanted to know, where do you feel like your character is going? Like, how do you feel about that and his overall arc on the show?
Well, I think where he's going right now is, he's going to have to lay in the bed that he made, if you will. A family member of mine always said, Tyler, the chickens always come home to roost. When I got older, I understood what that meant. And that's really where he's headed. For good or for bad, I don't know. We're going to have to see that because you got to tune into this final season. But I can say that, he's been playing with fire for a while now, listening to Candace and whatnot. So I can say he's headed towards a place where, there's plenty of repercussions for him. In terms of his overall arc, I think he started out as a person who was, what kind of one track, minded. It was really just him listening to Candace and, going after the tow truck business. And you got to see him diversify in terms of his portfolio, making some different choices. And he also, I think in the overall arc of the story, he ended up showing a side where, he can put his foot down and be his own man and stand on his own, which is also a treat to play.
Hi, Dana Abercrombie, The Coalition. I was wondering, you've been on the show for 8 seasons now. What has, for playing Benny, given you as an actor?
So 8 seasons later, I would say the first thing is just to be able to have a safe haven, almost like a place to be able to hone my skill. There's lots of times you go as an actor to class after class, but there's lots of things, whether it's classes or the books, there's lots of things in the preparation that can't suffice for the experience of actually, doing it in real time. I would say that's probably the first thing, just as an actor in a very black and white sense. But I also think that, the relationships are something that I'll cherish, being able to work with Tyler and being able to work with Oprah, all my castmates, all my crew members, and to be able to develop those type of lifelong relationships, after a span of eight years, that was also something that was nice in the gray area too.
Hey, it's Rhonda. This is gonna be a kind of silly question, but what is it like
no question is
with...
a silly question, Rhonda.
No. I mean, well, they'll know from what I do, but what is it like to be a Tyler working with a Tyler, and how many Black Tylers had you met before now?
I can say that he was the first Black Tyler that I've met. I thought it was funny when I showed up and it was like, here's Tyler and Tyler, and I see my name as I go in Tyler Perry Studio. I mean, in terms of the name, it was nice to be able to, look at something like that and dream. I kind of just replaced Perry with Tyler and kind of just imagine that maybe this is my place. In a manifestation way, it's good to be able to see something like that. A Black man that's out there doing his thing like that, putting on for his people. And that was a blessing come true. But I think the biggest thing outside the name, that we have in common is being a fan of doing the work. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I learned from him, because he's this mogul, he's this billionaire, this whole, he's like a force to be reckoned with. But as the individual, he's a very diligent, hardworking, man and professional. So I feel like that's what's going to get all of us, even all of us here, to where we're trying to get is a work ethic. That's definitely what I got from him, for sure.
So you're both doing the name Tyler proud.
No, we have the name Tyler, but that was I can't change my name. That was given to me. So
Tyler, it's Ray Cornelius again with Upfront Inside the Entertainment Industry. You've had an opportunity over these last 8 years to work with some amazing women, in particular, Crystal Fox is your mother, Tika Sumpter, and then you've locked lips with Angela Robinson. Any gems from these women? Crystal and Angela have been on Broadway. They've done television, film. Yeah. Of course, Tika has made her way, but any gems that you've picked up from working with those women?
Lots. Too many to name right now. I would say, specifically, the two that jump out at me, you talked about Crystal and Angela. So I would say from Angela, something specific about Angela. So we had, in the very beginning, when we first linked up, within the first few seasons, we had one time at dinner, we had just a long talk about the importance of honing your craft. It was a part of a bigger discussion on whether do you just kind of do the natural thing as you go about your career, just kind of book with what comes along, or do you really get into the mud of it and practice and practice your craft. And she kind of touched me in a way. You could just tell it was coming from an artist. She really You know what I mean? She really values and respects what we do in the craft. So I would definitely take, kind of that just diligence and work ethic from Angela in that conversation. And from Crystal Fox, I would just say the ability to just go there in an instant. I remember when I first got into this game, one of the big things that I had to understand is that it's not about getting to that space when you're in the shower or on the car, on the car ride. It's about getting to that space as soon as they call action. It's on demand, And Crystal Fox is very, she can go on command. You know what I mean? So being able to work with a professional like that day in, day out, see how she breaks into it and gets out of it. And it's like, I definitely took that aspect of it, to kind of put into my tool shed. So I picked up lots of things from these, just these forces that I've worked with, these women, some of the women that you've mentioned. And it's been great to be able to work side by side with them, for real.
Hi, it's Kathy again. I'm going to be like Rhonda and ask you a fun question because the show has had moments that are like crazy. So talk about your favorite, something that you got to do that was over the top that in real life it would have been a problem, something that you got away with as Benny.
Well, I mean, so the whole Quincy ordeal is the first thing that jumps right out at me. Quincy was abusing, Benny's sister, Candace, abusing his nephew, Quincy Jr. And I got to have a run-in with him where, I slammed into him with the car, pulled him out the whip, whooped his ass, and later on when my sister ended up killing him, I buried his body. So, in the story, Benny handled it and got it out the way. So that was fun to do, but, in real life, I wouldn't advise that. But yeah, it was a fun story to play.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hi, Nancy Green here again with Film Critique. And I wanted to know, what are some of the biggest life lessons that you learned from working with Oprah and working on an Oprah production in the studio?
I would say the biggest thing that I've learned from working at, being on a show that was on the Oprah Winfrey Network, and then also being privileged enough to be around her and actually talk and learn from Oprah, is probably just how to stay, have a sense of groundedness and still stay here, even when you go all the way up there. You know what I mean? It's very easy to get lost in all that. And every time that I'm around her, you can see her right there in her eyes. If you look in her eyes, she's right there, and that's something that I value in a person that I've definitely got from her, witnessed in her. And I think it has an ability to trickle down to everybody else too. Everybody around her seems to be like that also. So that was definitely one of the perks of working with Oprah and for her network.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dana Abercrombie, the Coalition. Again, I was wondering if you could envision Benny, say years from now, where would you see him?
That's a good question. I think if I could think about, let's say 10 years from now, I would see Benny like not content, but happy. I feel like one of the things he was always chasing was, whether he was getting caught up with the money and Candace, or, it seemed like for a period he was very promiscuous. He was like chasing all these flings and stuff. I think he was searching for a happiness, a place to really call home that was really just his. So I could see him, I could see him maybe having a 10-year-old, maybe he's got a kid somewhere along the lines. Maybe 2 kids, 2 kids and a dog, and a 3-bedroom that's his. It might be paid off. Maybe he stashed some of Candace's money, but something that he could just call his, and that he has that makes him happy.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm going to jump a little ahead. So now that the haves and have-nots are ending, does that mean there's more Diamond on P-Valley?
Yeah. So up next we got Diamond on P-Valley. So I'm getting out of here in about 2 weeks to go film the next season of P-Valley. And first up will be Ian on Harlem. You'll see that on Amazon like this winter, maybe end of fall, early winter. So that's up next.
So what has Benny given you to these other characters? Like, you know, Diamond is really different, but what has been able to play Benny given you that you can give to your future work?
Well, I think just the character as a whole, being able to tap into something, start it, cultivate it, and finish it now this last season, and then being able to unplug it, that goes into the nervous system. You know what I mean? It's downloaded. So it's like being able to again start the process over again is, you know, from like my person's space and like a nervous system place. That's kind of what I take from it. I think anything else is difficult only because, you know, I look at all my characters as different people, you know, so they're very different. I would think if I could find one common thing between the two characters that you guys have seen so far is like an ability, or really just like a tenacity when it comes to protecting his people. You know, Diamond with, you know, that abused woman who was Mississippi, and Benny with his sister a little bit, right? There's a little bit of a parallel to draw there. So yeah, if anything, I would say that.
So Tyler, gotta ask, you know, you've spent so much time working with Tyler Perry as well as Miss Winfrey. Is there any desire to get behind the camera? Because not only are you an amazing actor, but I'm sure being around Tyler Perry, there's a desire to possibly write, a desire to possibly direct and or produce. So is that in your future as well?
Well, thanks for saying that, Ray. I think that, you know, I didn't get bit by the directing bug yet. Definitely the producing bug, the writing bug. You know, I see myself more over there. Definitely in the creative space for sure. I got a few things that I'm coming out with soon. But in terms of directing, man, I look at it like there's a certain like mystique to it that I kind of, at least up until this point, who knows, I may feel different in the future. I appreciate more from the outskirts of it. I like how they come through and, you know, they got their own ideas of how they want to set the shot up. There's really like 100 different ways to shoot something. You know, it's very specific. But I gotta say, so far, what I got from him more is probably the writing and just the creating, you know, the envisioning and turning that into reality process. Probably what I got most from him on the creative side.
Dana Abercrombie, the Coalition. I was wondering, when you approach these different characters and they have, you know, they're much different from each other, are you the kind of actor who breaks it down differently? Like say for one genre, say for Diamond, will be different than how you would approach Benny from the breakdown standpoint?
I would say there's definitely lots of things that will end up being different for sure. But I think when you break it down to the nuts and bolts of it, my process is really the same. You know, I need to figure out what their circumstances are, right? What type of obstacles they have in their way, how they decide to get around them, you know, and what a character or what someone's overall goal is, you know what I mean, to have a purpose, to be driven somewhere. And then once you kind of lock those in the black and white realm, the outline area, then we can start to fill in colors and make things, you know, very, very much different from one character to the next. But if we took all the organs away and all the skin and everything, you know, we would pretty much have the same skeleton of how I would break down the role or what my process is.
Tyler, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
It's great to be here, Gil.
Absolutely. And we wish you much luck and success in the future, and know that you can always count on us to support whatever it is you're doing.
Thank you. You as well.
On behalf of the world's largest group of Black film critics, thank you for watching this edition of AAFCA Roundtables. Have a great day.